Hey everybody, welcome back to the Old Swedes Farm. It's Rich. Holly's at the camera. Had a bunch of questions after our garden tour video about our tomatoes. Tomato Alley, how do you get it going? What do you do with tomatoes? The whole kind of life cycle of tomatoes so that we're successful. We want to pass that on. We're going to go kind of brand by brand or variety by variety and why we plant them, how we plant them, what we do. You'll notice by the end of the year, if you look back on some of our videos from last year, this thing's 7 feet tall. We're gonna have tomatoes that have grown all the way over. They're gonna be about 10 feet tall. So how do we get 10 foot tall and huge yields? We've got, let me first start at the beginning, an overview. We've got, as far as big big tomatoes, we've got 4 varieties. We've got, let me see, watch out behind you. We've got beefsteak down on the end, 5 of those. We've got Jersey Devil, Amish Paste, and San Marzano, 5 plants of each. For cherry tomatoes, we've got 1 yellow pear down at the end, 4 chocolate pear, which is a brand new variety for us, 5 large red cherry, 5 black cherry, my favorite, and 5 of my second favorite, the sweet 100s right here. We chose those. Cherry tomatoes, I just want to be out here all day gobbling them up so that nothing gets in the house for Holly to eat. No, that's partly true though. I want to be able to come out here and eat them at will and not run out. And the cherry tomatoes, especially the sweet 100s and the black cherry, we're not going to run out. They are harvest machines.
Very prolific.
Very prolific. The large red cherry, bigger than a regular
They're
cherry.
about golf ball size.
Yeah, nice fruity, sweet flavor, bigger. Not as bold a flavor, but that's why we got that one. Chocolate pear, it was included in a seed packet for a freebie. Chocolate, why not? You know, if it's anything, so that was our reasoning there. And then 1 yellow pear. You know what? The yellow flavor, or the yellow color looks great.
It's very mellow, it doesn't have a lot. It's more for the
look.
the color, the
look. It looks great on a salad. It's something different for our CSA folks. Now we've got 4 families who are part of our CSA, so we're trying to give them variety. There we go, 5 different varieties of cherry tomatoes. On the other side, the San Marzano, the Amish Paste, and the Jersey Devils, prolific. Different size fruit. They all mature about the same time. They're kind of a later season. And when you mix them together in a sauce, the way Holly does, it's unbelievable.
And they're all indeterminate, so they'll keep producing through the fall.
Everything is indeterminate. We'll talk about that in a second. And then we put in 5 beefsteak. Last year we had German pink. It got too big and they really cracked. So we said, nope, German pink, that was a good experiment. We know beefsteak's gonna work. We wanted one kind of slicer tomato for our CSA family. So that's the reasoning behind all our tomatoes. But those Jersey Devil, Amish Paste, and San Marzano, unbelievable. Great sauce. Fleshy, beautiful, thick sauce, and not a lot of seeds. There's my qualifier. How do we start them? Holly said determinate, indeterminate. Determinate tomatoes get about a certain height and they stop.
Everything. And they give you fruit all at once.
All at once, yep. Indeterminate is what we've got. They grow and they're giving you fruit, they grow, they're giving you fruit, they grow, and they keep giving fruit. It's unbelievable the yield. We go with indeterminate just to keep the fruit. We've only got so many weeks in a Minnesota season, so let's get everything we can for as long as we can. Speaking of that, indeterminate. I've seen some videos out there. I've seen some of our friends, relatives, neighbors, they get a little round hoop and they put a big tomato on it. And it gets about this big and it falls over. Tomatoes, if you let them go on their own, tomatoes make a huge shrub. If you put one of our sweet 100s just as a plant, it will be probably an 8 foot by 8 foot shrub by the end of the year. It'll be impossible to get into it and get all the yield that you want. It's gonna be laying on the ground. It's not what you want. If you really want to get tomatoes growing, you gotta give it support. Tomatoes are heavy plants. Tomatoes create a lot of wind load. Tomatoes, when they're wet from a rainstorm, are really heavy. When you got a lot of fruit on them, they're heavy. You need something sturdy. Think about sturdy and tall. If they're indeterminate, they're gonna keep on going. If you've got a 3-foot fence, it's gonna grow, then where does it grow? It's gonna grow out and out, and if you've got a plant next to it, where's that gonna grow? Out and out. All of a sudden you get to the top and everything starts flopping over. You need support. Think height. Don't be scared about height. Don't go 18 feet in the air, but get it where you can reach it. This is 7 feet tall. It's a 16-foot cattle panel. At the end of this video, I'll put the connection to the video for how we built this. We think this is the best way to go. The plants come up and over, and they literally get to about here. These plants growing up, they get to about here. It's really a great support.
And easy access to all the fruit.
All the fruit, the weight hangs down, you walk underneath, eat,
Yep.
eat.
Even from the outside and the inside. You're not digging in through the middle of the cages and
forest.
into the forest to try and get...
Yep. Let me talk about what we do. This looks a little sickly. It's not. This is a perfect example. Our last frost date is mid-May. We plant mid-March to start the seeds inside. When it gets warm enough and we think we're getting past that frost date, we bring them outside and harden them off inside the outside chicken coop just to protect them from the girls. This is a typical 2-month-old. It's about 18 inches tall. There's actually blooms on it and 1 fruit. This is a large red cherry. Make sure you identify what your stuff is. When I'm gonna come out to plant, and the soil we use, you'll see that we've got a trench between our garden fabric. We have dug in all sorts of organic material. It's nice, loose, organic soil. When we come to plant, I take the scissors and start cutting. You'll notice tomatoes, they get all fuzzy. All the fuzz, that's where the roots are gonna be. I expose a lot of the branch. You'll also notice that every place that there's a branch, indeterminate tomatoes will start making that shrub. They will put out a branch at every other branch. You'll see one here. Well, if it keep growing, there's a tiny little bud here already, but this is a waste. You don't want your plants to be putting energy into that. And in fact, when I start, if there's any blooms, I take those off. For planting anything, I don't want the blooms. I want all the energy going down. Here's what I would do for planting this one. I've got a long stalk, and that looks ugly. You're not gonna put that out, Rich, are you? Nope. Here's what we do. We've got 2-foot separation between our plants. There's 20 plants on a side. It's 40 feet long, so every 2 feet, there's gonna be a plant. This plant, I planted it like this. All this is underground down about 6 inches, and just this little part is sticking up. All the roots are gonna be right here. I don't put it 18 inches in the ground because getting water all the way down 18 inches is really tough. If I can put this down 6 inches, then I can water and get a good even coating of water to that plant every night. One thing that we do, every place that we plant, there's a little depression in here. It's kind of a little bowl, and you'll see there's another bowl here. It helps hold the water. All the water runs to the tomatoes, but this one, the roots start here and go right to the plant, and then they expand from there. So that's how we're planting them. At the time we plant them, we also throw a little fertilizer on top to get that worked out. I'll get into fertilizer in just a second. What do we do during the year? I'm gonna sit down here, show you. This is one of our, what is this, San Marzano?
Yep.
San Marzano. As the plants grow up, you don't just leave them and wait till they start throwing fruit out for you. you gotta do some grooming. The scissors is with me a lot during the summer. One thing, tomatoes are susceptible to disease. It can be in the soil, and when you water, you're not watering from above. We water down here on the ground. We do a quick 10 count and then move to the next plant, and we go around twice every night, count to 10. I don't know how many gallons we're putting down, to be honest, but we're watering them consistently every night. That is key. If you water and then wait 5 days and water again, you're not going to get good growth. You need consistent watering. If it rains, great, but then you don't have to water. But water every night if you can. Be consistent. The on-off is not good for tomatoes. When you get fruit on and you get a big rain, or if you were to water, you'd forgotten for 5 days and you water, all of a sudden they'll soak it up, boom, your fruit's going to crack. So think about that consistent watering. If you got a big storm coming where you think you're going to get dumped on, maybe pick some of that fruit and let it finish the ripening in your kitchen. You'll thank me on that. As they grow, like I said, those plants want to throw out the 45-degree, every stalk they want to, or every leaf they want to throw out a sucker or a side shoot. Here's one right here. I don't know, Holly, can you show that? You can see that here's the main growth coming up the stem. See the main stem coming up, and as it gets to a leaf, this one I had already pulled off earlier, but this one started to grow. Hopefully you can see that. I just take that off and get rid of that. You can see that at other spots there's already a tiny little growth there to go out at a 45. If you want, pick those right now. I also don't let them flower right now. I've got two methods. I hope I do, unless it blew away. I want to use these supports really well, and so I've got two different support systems. Pardon me, the wind just caught that. I've got two ways to do it. Velcro and these cute little clips. I want to make sure that tomatoes, like I said, they don't become shrubs in here. I want to train them. I want to use this structure. As they grow, I'm taking off some leaves and exposing that stalk. These cute little clips, I'll try to find out where they're from and I'll put them down below.
I got those for you from Amazon.
Okay, we'll try to find a link and put that below, but they're really good. Sometimes I'll use them and then move them on, but they're real easy just to put in there and stick there. Okay, now it's starting to train its way up.
They're good for the base because it can grow up through it. It's not holding it super tight.
You don't want it really tight. Yeah, there is room for growth there, but when the stalk does get big, I do remove them because by then I've already got other things going up. The other thing I use is Velcro. It's a Velcro fabric. It's great. It goes right around the support. I go around the plant. I keep it loose again so that there's room for future growth. Stick it on, and then it comes off. These are ones that I used last year. They work great year in and year out. So for now that this is big enough, just one idea for everybody: don't plant your plants, a 1.5 feet from the trellis. Get it right up at the trellis so that it's already growing up in that direction. But now I've got some good wind protection. It's supported. It's clipped, all the side clips, and I've got one stalk. That's what you want during the whole season. You don't want one stalk and then the side shoots and then they put side shoots. That's how you get that shrub. You will get more production having one stem going all the way up and then putting out, instead of all this side shoot leaf growth, it will put out more sets of tomatoes. That's what you want, is tomatoes, not leaf growth. If you want a tomato hedge, then disregard everything I just said. If you want to eat tomatoes, one stem, cut all the 45-degree stalks off, side shoots, and train it upward. You will have a 10-foot tomato.
And it still gets plenty leafy, and you'll be able to see that from the videos from last year.
Plenty leafy. plenty leafy. We have never had, you know, a bald tomato by any means. So one thing we do, this is, I'm not sure the brand, I've used this for years, Espoma, E-S-P-O-M-A, Espoma company, but it's organic tomato tone. It's tomato and vegetable food. When we plant them just on top of the surface in that little bowl, I'll put 3 tablespoons of this into each hole. Then every 2 weeks, we're coming up on our feeding right now, I'll put a tablespoon for each plant every 2 weeks. This really has the nutrients that tomatoes want, and they rock it. They really rock it. Other than that, you know, plant them, daily watering or consistent watering, some fertilization, start with good soil, but then fertilization, weed them. You know, we've got garden fabric. We're gonna have garden fabric on the other side, so excuse the weeds right now, but we're gonna have garden fabric on the other side, giving us a little slot. At the end of the year, I will dig in new organic material so that the potential tomato diseases don't stay here in the soil. I'll replace that with some in the slot. To retain moisture, if you wanted, you could mulch on top. That would really help, you know, keep the tomatoes moist and keep the weeds at bay. We hate weeding. So the growth, cut the, you know, and I don't let them flower till they're 3 feet tall or so, you know, then let them, that'll be another, literally in 2 weeks, they'll probably be 3 feet, if not 4 feet tall, because we've focused all that energy into one shoot instead of all that side stuff. So once they start producing, enjoy. I think I've hit all the questions that people were asking. Fertilize, good soil, moisture, cut the side shoots, support them, make sure you've got good support that's tall enough, especially for indeterminate. If I missed something and you got other questions, let me know. We are not by any means experts. We've just grown tomatoes for a long time and have learned through a lot of mistakes, a lot of our mistakes. So if you got questions, throw them down. And oh, one final thing. I'll put a link down below. I didn't bring it out, but we have a, what's the light? It's like a black light.
Oh yeah, it's just a black light.
A black light flashlight for the tomato hornworms. That's been the one thing that's gotten us. Last year we had quite a few hornworms, and if you shine it and go out, you know, you'll see all of a sudden a whole branch is devoid of foliage. If you see something like that, it's probably a perfectly camouflaged green caterpillar about this big. Mm-hmm. If you can go out once a week or twice a week and shine that after dark, you'll see the bands on the back of that caterpillar light up, and you can take them and feed them to the chickens.
Yep, and you'll find them even from the like a ½ inch long up to.
You want to catch them when they're a ½ inch long. Yep.
Yeah.
Because if they've already gotten to 3-4 inches long, you'll notice it by foliage loss. But when you're out watering, really inspect your plants. It's easier when you don't have a shrub, but look for that hornworm. Other than that, you know, watering, like I said, down below, not splash on top, because what you'll do if you do it hard, if there is a disease in the soil, it'll splash up on the trunk, up on the stem and on the leaves, and you got a chance of disease. One other thing, sometimes people ask about, you know, their leaves all curl up. You know what? If it's 95 out for a few days, even if you're watering, the plants will curl. It's their self-defense to retain moisture for the plant. So don't get too alarmed there. If it continues and you see one is really bad and the others aren't, maybe you got something going and we can start investigating. But I'm really long-winded on this. Sorry about that. But hopefully we've shared some of the tips we've got. I need to get out and trim these back and continue supporting. If you got questions, put them down below. And I hope everybody's done well or is going to do well with their tomato harvest this year. Thanks for watching and appreciate all the questions. Take care.